Continuing with our tutorial, last time we have successfully selected the data stored in our table users. So as a recap, our last activity, this is the output wherein we have selected our email address and our password in our table users. So here it is. Now we're going to continue. So what if, so again, don't forget to initialize or open your WAMP server. And of course, still, we are using our text editor, which is Atom. So today, for this video, we are going to try to insert. What if we want to insert another data in our table users? So of course, we have already experienced using the phpMyAdmin by simply clicking insert here. So we just fill up the necessary data and press go. But what if we want to do it using SQL? So that will be our tutorial for today. So first, we are going to create a query. So again, all of us has created a query. So I'm going to create a variable query which will hold my SQL command. So for us to add data, the keyword to be used or the SQL to be used is insert. So insert, okay, insert, as I've mentioned on the previous tutorials, let's make it a habit to use uppercase with these keywords used in SQL. So insert into, of course, next will be our table name, which is users. So we're going to insert into users the values that we would like to insert. So I'm going to place it inside the parentheses. So what are the values that we would like to insert? It would be email and of course the password. So we will not place there the ID number because as we all know, ID number is set to auto increment. So as every time we insert an additional data, the ID number will just increase by 1. So another thing to remember is we will place or enclose the attribute or the attribute names by this symbol. So email and of course password. So this is found below your escape key. If I remember it right, it's called tilde. So again, the attribute names must be placed in between this symbol, tilde. Okay, so continuing, we are going to insert email and password. So we should also place in our query the values. So again, this is a keyword. So I'm going to capitalize it, values. After that, I'm going again to use the close and open parentheses. And in here, I will use single quotes. Okay. So what will be the first parameter to be placed here? That will be corresponding to the value of the email, since email is the first parameter placed here. So email, so for example, ispsc at gmail.com, comma, another quotation, single quotation. So I'm going to place the corresponding value of password. So let's say pass 123. So there we have it. And just always remember, each PHP and SQL statement must end with a semicolon. So there we have it. I'm going to save it by pressing Ctrl S. So for us to execute again this query, okay, so we're going to try to execute this query. How will we do it? By simply again using the command to execute a query, which is MySQL query. I'm going to place there inside the two parameters, which is the link and of course my variable query. Okay, so this is our new code, lines of code inserted to our previous code. Let's check if it is working. Let's save it and check our output. I'm going to simply refresh it. Okay, so if you notice, there's no change in our output. But let's take a look if the values ispsc at gmail.com and the password pass123 is inserted into our table users. So let's have a look. So let's have a look in our PHP MyAdmin. So there we have it. We have successfully inserted the email ispsc at gmail.com and the password pass123. So let's try to add again another entry. So again, just simply go back to the code in here. So I'm just going to change again or place new email. So let's say ccs at gmail.com and the password will be password. Save it. Then let's go back to our browser and let's refresh it. So again, nothing happened, nothing changes because our code for displaying the data is only catering, or it is designed to display only a single row. On the next tutorial, we will learn how to display all of the data on our table. So for now, let's just check our table in our PHP MyAdmin. So let's just refresh it. And there we have it. We have successfully inserted again ccs at gmail.com and a new password, which is password. So how about if we would like to update or change one of our entries in our table users? So we can do that by again creating another query. So for now, I'm just going to comment this out comment. I'm going to comment this out. Okay, so that is already been turned into comment. Comment in Atom is control question mark. So when we say comment, it is no longer included or considered as a part of the code. So going back, I'm going to create again a query which will update or change the data present in our table users. So by the action itself, so we will use the word update. So what are we going to update? What table? That will be our table users. So we are going to, another keyword is set. What will we set? So again, we will use, since we will access the attribute name on our row, we will use tilde. So for example, I would like to change email. So I will set email is equal to, so what value will I place there? For example, from CCS to ITSS. Okay, so I'm telling or I'm commanding that I will update or set the email into itss at gmail.com. If I'm going to execute this one, all of our emails will be turned into itss at gmail.com. We do not want that to happen. We want to update a specific entry only or row only in our table users. So to do that, we will add additional codes, and this is the additional code. It's the where clause. So again, I'm telling that I'm going to update the email which will be equivalent to itss at gmail.com where, so I'm going to use id, where id is equal to 1. So let me just check my attribute name for id. So it should be user id. So let me change my code. This should be user id. So this command says that I am going to change the email of the user ID, which is equivalent to 1, into itss at gmail.com. So let's not forget to execute our query using again MySQL query. So parameters would be your variable link and your variable query. So let's check. Before I forgot, I'm going also to add another command which is limit, and I'm going to place there 1. So this is for security purposes, that I am just making sure that an update will only occur one time, because I am only updating one attribute or one row at my table user. So let's check, save, and go back to our my PHP my admin. So refresh. Nothing happened. Oh yes, let's refresh first this one, our local host, and there you've seen it. It has changed from anythingit@gmail.com to itss@gmail.com, and your password is my password. So to double check here, so we have the user ID is equal to 1. It is still anythingit2020@gmail.com. So this should change after refreshing our browser. And there we have it. We have successfully changed or updated our email from anythingit@gmail.com to itss@gmail.com using our where clause wherein we have used user ID is equal to 1. So how about if we want to change another email, but instead of using the user ID, let us use the other attribute, which is password. Okay, so I am just going to copy paste this one, Control C, and I'm going to paste it. And then the original, I will turn it into comment. So again, from using user ID in the where clause, we will change it into the other attribute, which is password is equal to, so we have to know what is the equivalent password. For example, I would like to change this email ispsc@gmail.com using this password as a reference. So its password is pass123. So I'm going to place it here where password is equal to, since password is a string, I'm going to enclose it with a quotation. Earlier, user ID is not a string, it's an integer. That's why we did not enclose it with a quotation. So again, what is the password? That is pass123. So how does this thing work? It will look for a password that is equivalent to pass123, and it will set its corresponding email into itss@gmail.com, or let's try to change it into bsit 2020@gmail.com. Okay, so I'm going to save it, and let's go back to our browser. I'm going to refresh it again. So there we have the code executed. To check the output, so this row, this email ispsc@gmail.com should be updated into bsit2020@gmail.com. So let's check. Let's refresh it, and there we have it. It is already updated into bsit2020@gmail.com. So that will be the scope of the tutorial for today. We have successfully inserted additional data to our table, and we also have successfully updated existing data in our table using the where clause, using the password and ID as a basis for updating the data in our table users. So hope you could incorporate it in your codes, and do not forget everything that we have done so far.